What's up guys, this is KYKS. Today we're looking at compositions in Adobe After Effects CC 2017. Welcome back. So without wasting time, let's begin. My After Effects is open and I want to explain to you in the most simplest way so that you can understand. So what are compositions? Compositions are folders for the timeline. Like we discussed in our interface introduction, the timeline is this one that is being highlighted. This is the project panel. This is where our compositions are going to be seen. So, as I said, compositions are like folders in our timeline. Like we discussed in the previous session, this project panel is where we keep our files that are going to be used inside our project. These files that are being highlighted. Now, in order for us to work on these files, we have to work on them inside a composition. Hope you're okay. These files cannot be worked on outside a composition. So in order for us to bring them and be worked on in our timeline, they have to be inside our composition. And when they're inside our composition, they are represented as layers. So basically, in our timeline, we are creating compositions and layers. These images and files that you see here, when they are brought inside here, they are seen as layers. So layers are supposed to be inside compositions. Layers cannot exist outside composition. So we can never create a project without us first creating a composition. For us to work on these files, everything in our project, it has to be worked on inside the composition. So basically, compositions are like a foundation to our project. So how do we create these compositions? There are different ways to create these compositions. You can either come here in our project panel, right click, you go to new composition, or you go to your menu up here, you click on composition and you say new composition. There is also a shortcut, Ctrl+N on your keyboard. Or you can come to this icon here, which I'm pressing on, and you click on it and it brings for you this dialog for creating a composition. So let's go quickly through this dialog. So of course you have to give it a name. Let's give it composition. You have to be able to name your files and things in your project, because as you go on and become a professional, you find that projects are big and you have to name them. So these tabs here, there's basic, advanced and 3D renderer. For now we are going to be using basic because these ones are for advanced learners. As we continue, we shall learn them. So you come to basic, you don't want to go to these ones. So here the custom, the preset, this depends on what you are developing for. Are you developing for HD TV? Are you developing for cinematography like these movies that we watch? So what are you developing for? For now, we are going to go with HD TV 1080 29.97. I don't want to go into this too much because I'll be spending more time on it and we are beginners. But as we go on, like I said, practice, you will find that things are easy. So choose HD TV 1080 29.97. Now, after that, we come to dimensions, width and height. As you can see, this check box here. For example, if I check it and increase width, you can see that the height is also increasing. So it increases proportionally because they are locked to each other. So if we unlock it, you can increase width alone, you can increase height alone. As you can see, every time I increase one of them, none of them is increasing. So let's check it so that it can increase proportionally. So pixels aspect ratio, leave it pixels for now. Frame rate, use 29.97. There are different frame rates which I'll explain more. Frames per second, use drop frame. So when we come to resolution, you have to choose full. Why? Because you wouldn't want to use half or third quarter, because this one determines the quality of your image. You want it to be clear even on bigger screens. You have to use full. Start time code, leave it that. Duration, this one tells us the time we want for our project. For example, if I want my project to go for 30 seconds, this one here represents frames, this one here represents seconds, this one here represents minutes, this one here represents hours. So if you want your video to go for hours, if you want it to go for minutes, for seconds, so we shall say we want it to go for 30 seconds. So you come here and you click it, 30 seconds. Now this one here is for the background of our composition. Do you want it to be red? You want it to be blue? So let's choose black. So if you have, for example, a color like this one here, this blue here, and you want to change it accordingly, you can click on this part, this pen here, you come and hover on it. As you can see, they give us the color of that object. So as we shall go with black. Now, for now, you can get to know those settings. You can use those settings for now. We shall be knowing them as we go on. More others, experience, practice, so forth. So we have created our composition called composition. We say okay. As you can see, they have brought for us our composition in our composition panel, and also here, as you can see in our timeline, it's called composition. And in our project, like in our project plan, told you it stores our things that we have been using. So for example, if I want to put something in our timeline composition, which is highlighted in our timeline, I drag and drop in our timeline, or I can come and drag and drop in our composition here, and they bring it here in our composition called composition. Hope we are together. Another way of creating composition is, for example, if I have this video here in my project panel, and when I highlight on it, like we said, it brings for us the attributes. It's 640 by 360. It's 7 minutes 25 seconds 05 frames, and this, and I want to create exactly the same composition having the same attributes. I'll get that video, drop it on top of my composition icon, and it will create for me a composition with the same settings like our video on top. As you can see, it has created a composition with the same video here. If we want to see the settings of our composition, we come to composition settings, or Control K, and they will show us. You see, it's the same name, it's the same dimensions, and it's the same duration, 7 minutes 25 seconds and frames, as you can see. So here they have created another composition. You see, now we have two compositions, and in our timeline they are showing different compositions. So anytime you want to bring any image, for example, this image 1 is in this composition, but it's not in this composition. So I can also bring it in this composition. So if I want to edit my composition, I will highlight, I say composition settings, or Control K on your keyboard, and you can edit accordingly. So the next thing we can look at, and also the last, is, for example, there's also what we call pre-composing. Pre-composing is basically creating compositions inside compositions. Why? For example, I may be having many files in one composition, and I want to reduce them. For example, let's duplicate this. We are duplicating it into many by Control D on your keyboard. So as you can see, they become many, and you have to scroll through. And if you're a professional, you have to reduce them in composition. So let's say we want to put this image up to this one. We highlight them by Shift and right click. You say pre-compose, and you call it another. As you can see, they have created a composition inside our composition. And if you want to see what's inside another, we double click, they open another panel or another tab, and shows us what's inside. As you can see, so this one helps you to work on different segments in your compositions, or organize your work accordingly. So we have looked at creating compositions, we have looked at pre-composing, we have looked at changing and editing our composition. So compositions are very important, so in a way that we can't create a project outside a composition. So I think that's all. As we go on, we shall learn more. There's something I always say, practice. So I remain KYKS. Like my video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.